Let's discuss the Arrange menu. We've already gone over almost every item here, but let's review briefly and cover the rest of the items that we haven't covered, and maybe even show you a few new things. Basically, or essentially, the Arrange menu allows you to organize your objects. The Arrange menu can be found up here, and most of these items are dim because we have no object selected. You can group, ungroup, all these things. Only thing that we're going to cover actually from this menu, though, is object grids, which I'm going to turn on right now. That's because in the inspector, we have all these options under here, under the position tab. So everything that's in here is up here. I find it easier to access it here, and really it works exactly the same, so we'll try it here. Once you get used to the icons, I think you'll find that they accurately describe what you want to do. But again, we're going to start with object grids, and you see it's checked, so I'm not going to choose it again. We're going to quickly get rid of this, and what I'm going to do is draw a rectangle on here. And you notice to remember that object grids allows you to snap to every 6 pixels or wherever you specify, rather than moving smoothly along. Well, there's a way to override this. Just hold down the Command key on Macintosh or the Alt key on Windows, and then move it, and you can see it moves smoothly around now. That's a way to override. So if you do like object grids, well, then you can quickly override it in those minor situations that you're mostly using it, but sometimes you want to override it just by holding down that Command or Alt key. Now, personally, I still dislike it. I just don't want it on at all, so I'm going to remove it and take it off. So we'll go ahead and delete that off the layout, and let's go ahead and show the inspector again. And let's go and work with Arrange and Align. So we're just going to go down the line here all the way through and see what each one does. So we're going to need some fields selected. So let's go ahead and select these right here. And we see we can align these things. All on the left side, all centered, all on the right side. We'll put it back to the left align. We can even align them all on the top. But we're going to want to undo that one because that doesn't work very well in this example. We can align them all in the center. We can align them all on the bottom edges. And we can also distribute the space horizontally and vertically. So let me show you what I mean by that by putting some rectangles on here. So we'll go ahead and put 3 of those on there. We'll just duplicate it. And I'll put one down here and maybe one right there. Select all of them and tell it that I want to distribute it vertically. Watch what happens. Isn't that neat? And then we can go ahead and align them on the left edge. Now you have a perfectly distributed, lined up on the left edges boxes. These could be buttons or fields or whatever you want. And if they happen to be up here, well, we can distribute them here as well. We just choose the horizontal distribution here. And then we can maybe align them on the top edges. And here's a line of buttons for you. Makes it very easy to work with and make your interfaces very organized, because now they're perfectly organized. There's the same amount of space between these two. Well, there's probably 1 pixel difference here because we'd have to move this over when it tries to even it out. And so I can see that on my screen. Now they're perfect because I moved this one over. But it does as good a job as it can. If it's not even, it can't make it perfectly distributed. So let's go ahead and look at some other ones here. We have Resize. Now, in order for this one to work, we're going to have to probably look over here at our fields. So let's select these again. And we can say Resize, and you wait for the little thing to pop up if you forget, to smallest width. Or to largest width. So we'll go largest, undo that, smallest, and we can undo that again. So you can see there's a lot of options here as far as filling stuff out. And I think what we'd like is to have all these be the same length. You don't have to. They don't have to be the same length, but I think it looks kind of nice. Then, of course, we have some other options here for resizing. Resize the smallest height. You also have the largest height. You have the smallest width and height, and largest width and largest height. I usually stick with these first two. Those are the most common, the smallest width and largest width. But it's up to you. You can play around with these and see how they work. Then you also have grouping, which we haven't covered that. I should say we covered locking, but we'll cover grouping right now. With all these objects selected, I'm going to group them. And you can see now they move as one object. I can undo that. And you can see that that might make it easy if you got everything set up perfectly. Group them together so that you can't accidentally move one object and go, oh, where was that exactly placed? I spent 10 minutes lining them all up. And of course, once you group them, you can also lock them if you want. Now you can't move it at all. Well, I'm going to unlock it and ungroup it and take a look at some of the other options we have here. So we also have these options: bring to front, bring forward, send backward, and send to back. We also covered those, and those have to do with objects on top of each other. So we'll go ahead and move this one right here. See, it's on top of that one. Move this one there. I can say, okay, let's go ahead and bring this one to front. Comes all the way to the front. You can see it's now on top of this one right here. I can also say, if I want to, bring forward. Now I want to select this one, but you'll see that it'll actually go ahead and come between those two. That one's still on top. If I bring it forward one more time, then it'll be on top of that one. So there's all this layering going on. You can send things back if you want. You can send something all the way to the back if you want. So you have a lot of control over the layering, and this can give you some neat effects as far as layering fields on top of each other, which we'll go over later, and layering graphics on top of each other, and all kinds of things. So we'll get rid of those. That's basically it for that section. You'll want to play around a lot with this and fiddle around with it because, frankly, you've got to get used to these things and be able to quickly figure out how I can arrange things. And the retention is going to come from messing around with it. If you don't mess around with it, don't expect to be able to remember everything. It's got to be right off the top of your head in order to design efficiently.